an outdoor venue in Orlando, Florida at the end of March in 2008. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Vincey. Literally everything. Okay, maybe not literally everything, but quite a few things went wrong, but somehow they managed to pull it out. Just like Vince did with the paralegal a number of years later. But I digress. I'm John Renton with the Retro Review WWE WrestleMania 24 at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. 74,000 some odd fans going absolutely crazy until the end of the show when the pyro botched and some fans apparently got burned. Yay! What a way to go off at the show of shows, the granddaddy of them all. And speaking of granddaddies, Ric Flair retired on this show. There were certainly some memorable moments on this show, for good, bad, and honestly indifferent reasons. I mean, this was a mixed bag, but it was a mostly good WrestleMania. And also, we're coming up on the 15-year anniversary of this particular event. And considering the WrestleMania 39 is just around the corner as of this recording at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And many people put that one together, especially a man called Mayor James T. Butts Jr. Mayor Butts. Thank you, Mayor Butts. But Mayor Butts was not involved in this. This is somebody else. I don't know who the mayor was in Orlando, Florida at this point. I don't care. And the Citrus Bowl. Good goddamn Christ. Built in the 1930s and didn't even look presentable in the 80s. WWE spent a lot of money to make it look presentable. And then rain hit and the storms hit. And they can't stand the rain against their windows. They can't stand the rain. Beep, beep. Who got the keys to the Jeep? It's Snoop. Missy Elliott fans are honestly wanting to throw themselves off a bridge now. So, a 1 million person buy rate. And while it was a little bit less than WrestleMania 23, that doesn't mean that this was a failure. It made a lot of money for Orlando. Good to cover the cost that they, the cost they spent to make the Citrus Bowl, again, look presentable. It did look great. I've seen what the Citrus Bowl looks like even for football games, and good goddamn great. The biggest WrestleMania under the sun. It was, at the time, only the second WrestleMania to take place outdoors. And, while it looked great and it was a cool visual, you shoot the pyro up in the sky, more money, as Nash said, less of a payday. On one of those Legends of Wrestling roundtable discussions. I believe it was in Through the Outdoors, if I recall correctly. Mania 9 was the first WrestleMania that took place in the outdoors. I retro-reviewed that recently, if you want to check that out. And this is the 6th WrestleMania that I've retro-reviewed this year. I really only have a few left. 26, 30, 31, 32. Then I'm caught up. And I see no reason to redo any of them because, honestly, I'm tired. I'm old, and I feel like I'm having to review for children now. I kid, of course. Plenty of awesome people to watch this, but some people that weren't fans of wrestling at the time may look back on this and wonder, geez, this is what WrestleMania was like, and this was only 15 years ago. And it just seems like a lifetime ago. So, the dark match, by the way, was a 24-man battle royal for a shot at the ECW Championship that was held by Chavo Guerrero. Yes, Chavo Guerrero was the WWE ECW champion. Further cementing the fact that that brand was goddamn shit. So, Kane won that, and then he would face Chavo later. And it's already raining. Brilliant venue idea, Vince, you goddamn paralegal paying off bastard. John Legend performs America the Beautiful. Why do some people not like John Legend? I mean, he's not the most amazing artist, but he has talent. He's a, pretty damn good humanitarian from what I understand, and he has the ability to sing really goddamn good. He's not exactly my cup of tea, but he has talent. Anyway, video package on the biggest matches in WrestleMania. And then we get Pyro. JR welcomes us. Lillian does a ring announcing. Justin Roberts does some ring announcing. I assume Tony Chimmel did some ring announcing. Lillian looks great. Still does now, don't get me wrong. And JBL gets his limo entrance. And then we pitch to a video package building up JBL and Finlay, who loves to fight, by the way. And at this point, JBL and Finlay had a combined age of 91. And Finlay moved better. That's saying so. Finlay had a leg injury in WCW that actually almost ended his goddamn career. And actually, for a time, he did have to retire and help train women like Lita, Victoria, and Trish. You might have heard of them. Oh, he also trained others. I believe Molly Holly credited him as well. But nevertheless, Finlay comes out with Hornswoggle. It's a Belfast Brawl. And that means weapons and no DQ, and everybody just gets to throw everything at everybody. The only things that were noteworthy about this wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. The headshots, that's the one thing I don't miss. And yes, I know many people put their hand up and did that. Or maybe didn't put it up with their thumb, but they put their hand up to kind of block it. And yes, fine. And if you do it right, you can make it look good. But it's just the visual now and the fact that there's so much stuff about concussions. It's a good thing they don't do that anymore. Again, the only good parts. Finley doing a dive, getting hit in the head with a trash can lid. So maybe that wasn't a good part. But seeing a 50-year-old man do a suicide dive was certainly something. And then Hornswoggle got hit with a trash can. That's what that little shit gets for, I guess, existing, seemingly. Apparently, he's nice. I hated the character. And the fact that he was a Cruiserweight champion, regardless of whether creative thought it was a good idea or whatever, I don't care. This was stupid. At least that was stupid. But then they put the Cruiserweight title on ice for nearly a decade. Thanks, Hornswoggle. So anyway, we get a table bump and then a clothesline from hell. 1, 2, 3. Okay, JBL won. That was a bit shocking. You would have thought Finley would have won to kind of end this feud. But no, they were going to push JBL in the summer of 2008. And even into the fall of 2008 and early 2009 for whatever ungodly reason. Oh, right, because JBL probably gave Vince McMahon stock tips and he made a whole lot of money. Okay, John, I'll reward you even though you can't move anymore. Ha, ha, ha. God, Vince McMahon impression can kind of tire me out. It's a little rough on the voice. So anyway, JBL wins that. And, I mean, honestly, Hornswoggle getting beat up was pretty cool. And then we have Kim. I forgot Kim Kardashian was part of this. Not her first time on camera getting, multiple men in her face. But nevertheless, I'm going to insult Kim Kardashian plenty because, well, Kanye is a piece of shit and deserves every bit of ridicule that he gets. It's not like Kim is exactly innocent. It's not like any of the Kardashians or the Jenners, as far as the adults, are any good or proper people. And it's not like they ever deserved the success that they got. So there you go. But Mr. Kennedy gets in Kim Kardashian's face, which she seemed all too happy with. So anyway, Jeff Hardy was supposed to be in the following match, but then he got popped for a wellness violation, a 60-day wellness violation. After practically rebuilding his reputation. But don't worry, that's the last time that Jeff would have violated any wellness policy or done anything stupid to wreck his career. He shouldn't be in wrestling anymore. And this is sad because he was on the ascent. He was going to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. He was going to win it. It went to CM Punk, which is probably a good thing, but they had 4 people calling this: Joey Styles, Taz, JR, and Lawler. Why not just build a 2-tiered announcers table and have other people there? Have the Spanish announcers table right there underneath and have it collapse for no goddamn reason. A lot of commentators here. So CM Punk, Shelton Benjamin, Jericho, Carlito, who spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. Yes, 15 years ago, Carlito was actually still with the company. And I like Carlito. I don't blame him for finally saying, that's okay, I'm going to take a stab somewhere else, just like my dad. Oh, it was his dad that did that. Or orchestrated that. Don't worry, that was a painful colon right there. So MVP, Mr. Kennedy, and John Morrison. This ain't no make-believe. No, this is the Money in the Bank briefcase. But get up and follow me, because Morrison ain't going to win the briefcase like he should be. Okay, that didn't work. This is a car crash. Also, there was rain blowing through. Now, yeah, you couldn't quite necessarily tell it because of the cameras and everything. But the first camera shot of, this opening, with the jets and everything before they got to John Legend, there was already rain on the lens. It's a good idea. And there was a moonsault that Morrison did holding the ladder. Why? What did that accomplish? I don't know, and I don't think he... And I like Morrison. I met Morrison in an indie show about 5 years ago. Great talent. Still can move well. Do great things. He kept himself in great shape, keeping himself busy, but I just never understood why he did that. There was a sunset flip bomb. Shelton got tipped off the ladder and thrown and, hurled through another ladder. Then later, Matt Hardy shows up and twists of fate's MTV. He twists of fate the entire network. MVP, as it were. MVP was coming straight down the mat. Gross. And that was it right there for MVP. And then we had a case of the X when the ladder decided to X itself. 2 ladders did. And at one point, Carlito says, I'm going to get an apple and just spit it in the face of people who don't want to be cool, a.k.a. Jericho. This is a mess. Jericho gets his knee caught in the goddamn ladder, and then Punk manages to win to a pop. Unlike WrestleMania 25, where the crowd was starting to boo him. Okay, so far not bad. It's just by this point, the ladder matches were getting a little bit messy. Good thing they haven't overdone them. Oh, they continue to overdo them. Every company, well, at least every mainstream company overdoes them. Hall of Fame class of 2008, brought up by Howard Finkel. I miss Fink. Terrible impression, but I miss Fink. The Briscoes, Jack and Jerry. Considering this was 15 years ago, yes, some of these people had passed away. Mae Young was there. Gordon Solie's family, and I forgot how much one of his sons looks exactly like him. He looks like a mix of Gordon Solie and the guy from Time Chasers, the main guy. For Castleton! Anyone who gets that, I love you guys. Rocky Johnson, you know, the known underage effer as he were, if that was even English. Yeah, just read up on it. He liked to play strip poker with certain people and do certain things and be a pedo and be a creep and everything. So yeah, fuck Rocky Johnson. I'm glad he's not here anymore. Peter Maivia, his wife and daughter, accepted for him. Eddie Graham accepted by Mike Graham, who unfortunately would meet the same fate as his dad 2 years after this. Something like that. Eerie. Frightening. Ric Flair, his family, his whatever number wife at that point is 4th or 5th wife. I forgot how many times he's been married. And all of his kids. Because Reed was still alive back in 2008 before drugs got a hold of him. And his one daughter isn't in wrestling. His other daughter, who could have been in wrestling and could have been one of the... Oh, right. Yeah, Ashley, a.k.a. Charlotte, and David Flair, who used to be in wrestling. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. David might have actually worked out if they had brought him along a little bit better, but they didn't. They just hotshot him right there. And no wonder, after a brief run in WWE, after his WCW run, and a very brief run in NWA TNA, he was out. I think he was done by 2003. 2003, that is. But the Hall of Fame class of 2008. Mae Young did not make good on her promise of being there for her 100th birthday. But to be fair, she made it to 91, 92. So there we are. Todd Grisham talks to Snoop Dogg. This was odd. Snoop is a smart businessman. He is so much smarter than some people give him credit for. Then here's Festus, a.k.a. the future Luke Gallows. Santino interrupts, because this is bad comedy, so Santino was involved. And remember when they did the bell ring thing, and then Festus would fire up and do that and run out? Where did Snoop get the ring bell? Who knows? He's Snoop. He'll just get it. How high was Snoop? Yes, is the answer. Foley has a Snoop sock. Snoop, they sock. Snoop, they sock. Okay, sorry. Teddy Long representing SmackDown, Regal representing Raw at ringside for these introductions for Batista of SmackDown and Umanga, as Regal called him. Why did he fucking call him Umanga? Why? Why did he call him Umanga? I've never understood it. Maybe Regal answered this at some point on a podcast. I mean, and I like Regal. Do not get me wrong. It's just always hilarious he called him Umanga. Brand Supremacy match. Cole and Lawler calling it, and this wasn't good. This was not good. This is not good. This is not a good match at all. Step down for Umanga from the previous year's WrestleMania, and same with Batista. I mean, and granted, at this point, people weren't necessarily cooling off on Batista, but they were understanding they were going to get him for short bursts because he was getting injured. He had a hell of a run, though. I mean, even though he debuted as Deacon Batista on WWE television in the summer, early fall of 2002, he would then join Evolution, get injured, be back on, and he had a pretty good career despite the fact that injuries got a hold of him. Now he's doing great in Hollywood. He was great in Knock at the Cabin. Too bad the movie was shit. So anyway, yeah, Batista won with the Batista bomb that wasn't very good. There was a 2-minute nerve hold during this and a lot of booze. A lot of booze. I think a lot of booze was consumed for people to enjoy some of this show. Taz and Joey called the next match Armando Alejandro Estrada, as opposed to, I don't know, Estrella. I think Estrella is the name of a beer. he introduces the two participants, Chavo Guerrero, who, yes, was the ECW champion at this point, the WWE ECW champion. Kane snuck in, by the way, and choke slammed him after the bell rang, and then the bell rang, and Kane won in 11 seconds. Chavo Guerrero, this noted piece of shit that keeps defending Chris Benoit, and probably has enough head trauma to where his brain looks like that egg in the jar and everything. This is your brain on drugs. Chavo, who was lucky to actually ever get a job in WWE, considering he was a good worker, he was never a great worker, he's never really charismatic, and he's also exposed himself as a fucking idiot. So anyway, to me it was about 10 seconds too long. Kane should have hit a choke slam, they should have rang the bell, and Kane should have covered him right there. But then again, it still would have been 3 seconds. So now Raven Simone was talking about the WWE Make-A-Wish stuff. She was very fired up, but almost, was she okay? Was she all right? Because she seemed a little bit off here. I don't know what she was going through, but she seemed a little bit off. Video package on Shawn versus Flair. Todd interviews Flair. Flair says he'll never retire. He wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. Shawn gets his entrance with pyro and a great rotating camera view that I will not give Kevin Dunn credit for. I will just say that at least the production team knew that Kevin Dunn's instructions should be ignored at that time. Flair gets the entrance with all the pyro, the big explosions up in the sky, all the pomp and circumstance, the applause. Shawn versus Flair. Mr. WrestleMania versus to be the man, you got to beat the man. And it was Flair's last great match because his stuff in TNA wasn't that great. His stuff, if you've seen clips of the Hulk Hogan WrestleMania or the Hulkamania Revenge Tour, whatever it was in Australia, I forget exactly what it was. That wasn't great. Any of that footage, that was pretty sad to see. And then, yeah, stuff in TNA, and then his last match last year, I reviewed that if you really want to check it out and see all the hate that I got for no goddamn reason. Because I said that Flair shouldn't have been in the ring. But referee Charles Robinson, Little Nate, and look, this really should have been Flair's final match. This really should have been. Flair's family is at ringside for this. If Rick had retired here, it would have been perfect. The company still would have paid him. I understand that maybe he didn't want to retire, but let's be honest. He was almost 60. He did everything he could. He was still in pretty damn good shape. But eventually, all his partying, all that other stuff caught up to him. And had he retired here, he would have been revered a whole lot more. Because people can still respect him as one of the best of all time. I can. While also recognizing that he was freaking toast by this point. This should have main evented, is what I noted, because had it main evented, I think Flair would have gotten a proper send-off. Even though I get why Edge and Undertaker did main event, and maybe in retrospect, given what happened at that particular point with the pyro, probably a good thing that did main event, so they could say, well shit, let's cut to black and let's go take care of those fans before they sue the hell out of us. So anyway, the part where Shawn does the moonsault and just hits his ribs on the goddamn announcer's table. Because he didn't quite make it, and the announcer's table didn't quite prolapse enough. I may have said that wrong. But that was brutal. We got some, a moonsault hit outside. Ric Flair is firing back with some chops. Hitting some great moves, hitting a lot of his classics. The figure four, the crowd pops. Got a couple figure four spots. And we got sweet chin music. And then it looked like, Flair might, be pinned 1, 2, because we were gonna get some near fall being taken on a ride and that stuff. And then, even though Flair fired back, eventually he got hit again. And then, I'm sorry, I love you, sweet chin music, 1, 2, 3. Shawn told him he loved him, left, and Flair got all the adulation, kissed his 5th or 6th or 7th wife, I don't know. All the kids were there. It was a big moment. And then Flair fucked it up after the Raw, after Mania, when he got that big celebration. Vince does not know how to hug at all. He's not a natural hugger. And then from there, Flair just continued to slide out of control. Because he just didn't know when to stop. This is a hell of a goddamn match, though. This is one of the high points of the show. Not that there were a ton of low points. This is one of the main high points. So the crowd gives respect to Flair. He soaks it all in. He leaves. Todd talks to Edge. Edge reflects on Mania 6, seeing his hero Hulk Hogan lose to the Ultimate Warrior. he lost his innocence that night. Now there's a little kid out there thinking that The Undertaker, his streak matters most, and now he's going to take that boy's innocence. You are not Velveteen Dream. You are not various other people. You're not Pat Patterson or Terry Garvin. Are you? That was pretty gross, though. Tonight I take that boy's innocence. No, Edge. No. You're the wrong Canadian for that. So, we get a bunch of the WWE women's roster at this point, the Divas. I'm sorry, the Divas label, I'm not even knocking the women that were good, bad, or indifferent in the ring, but just the Divas thing, it just has such a stain on it, even though many of those women actually did want to work harder. They just weren't allowed to. They couldn't have certain women wrestle. Mickey and Victoria were part of Snoop's entourage. How high was Snoop here? Yes is the answer, and I don't think I would have had him try it. Katie Lee Burchill was there. My God, she looked great there and still does. Beth and Melina. Beth was the current Divas champion at this point, by the way. With Santino against Maria and Ashley Mazzaro. I believe this was the last... Was this the last appearance for Ashley? Or was she... She might have been part of that Mania 25 Battle Royal. I tried to put that out of my mind because of Kid Rock. Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjill match. The lights went out during this match, which might have been a sign from the heavens to not utilize the women this way. The crowd booed. The spotlights came out. Kelly instantly got distracted by the shiny object. And Lawler eventually punches Santino for interfering. And then a Fisherman's Buster pins Maria 1, 2, 3. And then Snoop clotheslines Santino with a clothesline that actually was better than half of what the AEW roster does this time. Boy. Yeah, it's going to get me in trouble. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there are certain people that can just throw really good moves, and Santino may... If only he got the transphobia knocked out of him. So, they were still having power issues, by the way. Oh, by the way, Snoop kissed Maria. Lucky. And then power issues are still going on. They were trying to get the generators and everything back up, and maybe, again, running the Citrus Bowl. It was, at this point, a 60-year-old? No. It was a 70-year-old building. Maybe you shouldn't have run it. Power issues are still going on. Cena got a big old marching band entrance. Triple H and Orton made their entrances. It's Cena versus Orton versus Triple H. WWE Championship 3-way. Oh, my. Yeah, there were still more technical issues. It was messy because they had to race through a lot of spots in 15 minutes. Eventually, we get a pedigree, but Triple H gets punted, and Cena gets covered 1, 2, 3. That was a great way to utilize that Rumble win. Then again, to be fair at this point, everybody thought that Cena was going to win, and he didn't. Hooray! And then Orton would get injured a little bit later in One Night Stand 2008. Triple H had to win. I think he was going to win anyway, but they had to call an audible. Because they decided to do this brilliant idea of taking the RKO and, hey, I'm going to throw you outside on the floor. And, ow, I needed that collarbone. So, Big Show gets his entrance. Mayweather gets his entrance with a whole bunch of words on the screen and on the shirts, and he couldn't read a goddamn bit of them. Because Floyd Mayweather may be one of the best defensive boxers of all time. I will continue to knock Floyd Mayweather. A, because he's an illiterate piece of shit, and also because he abused the mother of one of the children, I forget exactly the full details, in front of the child. So yeah, F him. Hope he gets brain damage and ends up a drooling vegetable and dies penniless, because he deserves that. Yeah, it was Mayweather versus Big Show, boxer versus wrestler. No DQ match, with a bunch of, Mayweather's entourage there. Again, with words on the shirts that he couldn't fucking read. I wonder if he could read this. Probably not. He would probably need to struggle to do that. And I don't make fun of people that are illiterate unless they're absolute assholes. Because illiteracy is something that actually needs to be quelched and people need to be educated. There's no educating people that are like Floyd Mayweather, a.k.a. abusers. You can take that however you goddamn want. But if you're going to abuse somebody and you're going to be a multi-million-dollar athlete, well, you do deserve to be ridiculed and brutalized. And it's a shame that Floyd Mayweather didn't land wrong on a bump, because Big Show took care of him. He really took care of him. The entourage got laid out, then chair shots and a brass knuckle shot, and Floyd Mayweather won by knockout. It wasn't a bad match, but Floyd Mayweather, piece of shit. Should have had his chest caved in. I mean, I don't know if it would have done any good because Floyd Mayweather doesn't have a heart, but there we go. So, then we get Kim Kardashian attempting to announce the WrestleMania attendance figure. I mean, it's almost the same as the number of dicks she's taken in her life, but there you go. I mean, I'm shocked she could count that. I'm shocked she could count past 5. So, Undertaker entrance, Edge entrance, and all the pyro and the smoke. See, the Street Profits wanted the smoke, but the smoke was back in 2008. Undertaker versus Edge, world title match. There was a whole bunch of shenanigans, a whole bunch of craziness. They went all out. Cole and Coach calling the goddamn thing. So, dear God, this thing really needed Lawler and it could need Lawler and Cole, for God's sake, because Coach was always goddamn terrible at commentary. We got an arm drag roll off the top. That was pretty impressive. Edge keeping Taker down, targeting his ribs, targeting the knee, chopping the big man down. This was well done. Taker does his dive. They do good, good back and forth stuff, good near falls. A ref bumped the tombstone, no ref. Second ref comes in, 1-2. That's Charles Robinson. Then the Edgeheads, Hawkins and Ryder. Yes, Zack Ryder was employed for that long in WWE. I'm not knocking him, but it's just amazing to see where he went and then he got completely destroyed. So, we get a choke slam to one of them onto one of the Edgeheads. Not even too many pronouns, pal. I don't know which was which. And then we get a spear. 1, 2, kick out. Oh no, second spear. Shit, he's going to break the streak. But then Edge stupidly just, I'm all out of it. And oh shit, he caught my arm in Hell's Gate. No, I need to get to ropes and I tap out now. I don't think Edge talked like that. But Taker wins and then the pyro shoots into the crowd and then fries some people. And if that wasn't a goddamn metaphor for how, messy some of the production was for this goddamn thing, I don't know what is. Mania 24, though, pretty goddamn good main event. And pretty good undercard. With some valleys, but a pretty good Mania overall. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.